everybody, it's Thursday, September 28th, and I am not flying today. And in the background, you probably see why. Craig is IFR now. It's 800 overcast, forecast to get kind of gusty this afternoon. Not a super fun day to be flying. So instead, I'm going to practice IFR on the simulator. One of the key benefits of using a simulator is that it saves so much time. Using the instructor station here, I can move my airplane around and set myself up on a vector to final versus having to fly all the way there in the real airplane. So it's just super efficient, a great way to practice lots of things in a relatively short amount of time. As any instrument-rated pilot should know, FAR 61.57c defines the requirements for maintaining instrument currency. This is a snapshot of my logbook in ForeFlight. As you can see, my ability to act as PIC under IFR expires at the end of October. So today, I'm going to log 6 instrument approaches and a hold in order to reset the clock on my IFR currency. Ceilings in the Jacksonville area today are below my personal minimums, so I'm not interested in practicing in actual IMC in my airplane, even with one of my excellent proficient staff instructors. The FAA does not require instrument-rated pilots to review emergency procedures when logging approaches for currency. In theory, it's possible for an instrument-rated private pilot to fly IFR legally for decades without ever reviewing IFR emergency procedures. Clearly, that's a really bad idea. One of the key benefits of a simulator is that you can create and drill scenarios that you'd never dream of practicing for real in an airplane, like an engine failure immediately after takeoff in IMC. This is what AQP is all about, preparing ourselves for the scenarios that are most likely to kill us when we go fly. I don't have a flight plan or anything set up because I'm just demonstrating this scenario right now. But I do have my moving map on my Garmin 650 zoomed fairly tight in so that I can see the airport environment. And that's the way I want it for any IFR departure. All right, let's see how this goes. Takeoffs in the sim are always a little tricky. The rudder pedals. Okay, we're rolling. Airspeed's coming alive. And we'll lift off and accelerate and pitch for VY. That's going to be about a 10-degree pitch up. Okay, flying the runway heading, and I'm basically in the clouds already. In this scenario, I'm departing runway 5 at Craig with weather conditions set to match today's reality, a 500-foot overcast ceiling and wind out of the north-northeast at 10 knots. As you can see in this satellite image, there are lots of trees and heavily populated residential neighborhoods off the departure end of runway 5. Landing straight ahead off airport property is not a good option. Knowing that my personal minimum for a turn back to the airport in the event of an engine failure during departure is 500 feet, I'm going to practice that now. All right, so my winds are out of the north in the simulator right now, which is pretty much mimicking reality right now. So if my engine quits, I want to turn into the wind, which is going to be a left-hand turn back to the airport. So here we go. Got to get that nose down to keep my airspeed. And we're going to make a nice coordinated left-hand turn back toward I know where there should be some site I can land on. There's the airport. All right, here comes full flaps. And I didn't quite make it to the runway, but I made it to some open space and lived. But man, that is not fun. All right, now I'm going to begin my first approach for currency. So I'm going to depart runway 5 at Craig, and vector myself around for the ILS approach to runway 26 at Jacksonville International, which is not too far away. So I don't have any sort of ATC program set up on this. I'm just pretty much going to be my own controller and vector myself around for the approach. So here we go. I've got it trimmed out nicely. Lots of people complain about the sim being twitchy, but honestly, if you just are gentle with it and get it trimmed nice, it'll pretty much just sit there for you. All right, so we'll just pretend that I was given a heading of 360. So I'll set my new heading. I'll continue climbing up to 3,000. Okay, I'm on my self-imposed vector on a heading of 360, and I'm identifying the localizer at Jacksonville. Looks good, sounds good. I've set myself up on a modified base leg here, heading 350, with a descent to 2,000 feet assigned. So I'm working on that right now. About 5 miles from the final approach fix. Get ready to level off at 2,000 here and then give myself my final vector to join the localizer. And my glide slope indicator is activated. And there's the glide slope. So let's reduce power, about 1,700. Because I like to fly my instrument approaches the same way I fly my VFR approaches: pitch for airspeed, power for altitude. All right, 1,000 feet to go. Everything looks pretty stable. Occasionally glancing forward to check and see if I have ground contact. 400, 200, oh, there's the ground. All right, now's the tricky part. I gotta stay on the gauges, keep everything centered up. Don't get off the glide slope. 100 feet. And there's the runway. Awesome. Now I'm going to go missed intentionally because I need to do a hold. So I'm going to do the published hold. So I have to just climb straight ahead to 3,000. And I activated the missed approach sequence, which is going to take me straight ahead to DINS. And I'm going to hold there at 3,000. So when I get to DINS, I could do either a parallel or a teardrop entry for the hold, and I'll probably do a teardrop. Now in real IMC, I would totally be using the autopilot, but I'm hand flying here. And Garmin is also recommending a teardrop, which works for me. It's going to be a right-hand turn. These Garmin GPSs make holds so easy. Okay, nice standard right turn to my teardrop entry heading. Watch the altitude. Practicing my scan, which is one of the main things you want to do when you're on the sim. Keep that scan nice and sharp. Try not to lose it. Try not to get distracted. The GPS has gone into suspend because this is my missed approach hold. I'm at the end of the line on the flight plan. I see that I didn't give myself quite enough room to get established. So I'm going to use the instructor station over here and give myself a little better vector onto the final approach course. That should work. So this is the ILS to runway 8 at Jackson International. Now you can see the flight instruments clearly. This display more or less matches what we have in our airplanes, which is kind of nice. Elite did a pretty good job of mimicking the avionics we have in our fleet. The glide slope, I'm about a mile from the final approach fix. Very active scan here because you do not want to lose it. 200 to go, I see trees, and I see a runway. I'm a little bit high. Bring the power out, stay on the localizer, keep the runway in sight, and I'm going to take this one to a landing. Okay, transitioning to the visual approach lighting system. Runway's in sight. All right, super long runway. We're not using any flaps. Let me see, can I do making a crosswind landing on the sim is a little tricky. But good news is no matter what you do, you get a little squeak. There we go. Another fun fact of sim practice is that you can fly in your bare feet. Super comfy. In about 90 minutes on the sim, I was able to log my 6 approaches and a hold, plus practice scenarios that are otherwise difficult to accurately mimic during a real flight.